What's the most ducked up thing you know about someone but they don't know you know? NSFW. I know my dad tried to abuse my mom while they were dating. Being the bad she is, she fought him off. She still ended up marrying him. I know. What the duck mom. And they've been happily divorced for 5 years now. Edit. I do not understand the references you guy are giving me. A guy I know is into bondage porn. I found his stash of mags more than 20 years ago. He'd taken a marker and drawn blindfolds and gags on the women. It was weird. At a birthday party when I was about 11, everyone played outside and I went in the house to get a drink. Saw my best friend eating into the cat's litter box. Turned around and went outside again. Edit. No, it wasn't George Clooney. I was on my friend's computer and I used WinRAR, and his version had been paid for. My neighbor's son isn't actually his. His wife had an affair with a Native American New Age healer. I tell you what. I was searching through my housemate's public folder looking for some episodes of Buffy he'd thrown in there for me, and I instead found a video of him and his then girlfriend both totally naked, getting into some foreplay. Now I was in that deer in headlights mode of just being unable to look away or do anything, so when he straddles her and starts moving up her torso I figured he was going for a blowjob. Nope. He shat right on her chest. At that point I was no longer a deer. I just lunged for the plug socket switch and sat in total silence for a while. Sometimes that moment comes back to me when I'm talking to him and I just shut down. He asks if anything's wrong. I shake myself off and just blame lack of sleep while I try not to vomit. To all the paranoid people in this thread, I know that my dad is watching porn on my iPod. I let my dad borrow my iPod while I was away at my friend's house for the week. I got back and he gave me back my iPod and I went to watch some new live stream that my friend said was alright. And my Safari crashed, so I went to my history to find it, and all that was there was cream pie, teen, and cum shots. So moral of the story is always clear your history. I looked up a friend's Reddit username out of curiosity. It's a username for almost everything. Turns out she cut for a while : I know that a former friend, high school, was sold by her mother to a drug dealer for drugs. Obviously. Basically he got to abuse her for a night, and her mom got drugs in exchange. She was 15 when this happened. She ended up getting pregnant. Then her mother forced her to get an abortion. I haven't seen her in over a decade, but I think about her often. She never knew that I knew. 2 different people that were close to her told me, a few years later, what the duck? How could you do that to your own child? I know my friend's Reddit username. I have an embarrassing snapshot of my friend at a Christmas party. My best friend in high school was a very ducked up girl, and people have gone to jail as a result of the stuff that made her that way. With that precursor, she used to occasionally duck her cousin by marriage, which wasn't that bad. But she also ducked his dad, her uncle, by marriage. I'm now a tattoo artist and people tell me their dirty little secrets all the time. Mostly because reality TV has taught them I need their life story in order to draw a rose. Edit. I posted this and went to bed. Didn't expect so many replies. I will respond to you guys. A girl's parents forced her to get an abortion. She wasn't underage, but her parents guilt tripped the it out of her and threatened to disown her. Edit. Change the word. I know a guy who got caught by his mom while ducking his little fluffy dog. He was in high school when it happened. It has to be seeing a good margin of the girls in my class is naked. Pro tip, even if he says he won't share them with his friends or that he didn't save that picture after you broke up, he more than likely did. So be cautious about who you're sending nudes to if you don't want them floating around across the school. My brother has genital warts. My mom stole pills from dead patients when she was a hospice nurse. My dad threatened my mom with a knife when they were separating. And my dog steals socks. I know my ex-girlfriend took it. She always said she didn't, but I know it happened frequently. My friend's best friend is involved in a 3-man love triangle and has been since high school. Through all of the girlfriends they all have had, they've been ducking each other. My friend has no idea about that and is friends with the other 2 guys as well. Not exactly what you asked, but I've always found it kind of amusing. Edit. Flowchart. Thanks to you, Catdoor. I know a fairly regular GW poster and she doesn't know I know. I won't share her secret because she's doing post-grad work and I'm afraid it would ruin her. Of course it may just be that I beat it to her furiously. Apparently, my mother-in-law has hot dog titties. My Mill and Phil have been friends since they were teenagers. My Phil's brother, husband's uncle, got drunk once and told me and my husband. I got a glimpse of those suckers sometime in the 80s and man, those are some hot dog titties. Long and skinny and you just want to drizzle ketchup on them. I just recently found out that one of my friends did a hardcore gay porn scene. I thought he was a completely straight guy and it looked like he was really enjoying being ducked up the ass in that video. I just can't see him the same way anymore. It was a huge shock. That my stepdad killed 2 people while drunk driving when he was in his early 20s. He crashed into their car, left the scene with barely a scratch. He feels terrible about it, of course, and did everything he could for the family of the lost, but they hated him and rejected any apology. They are justified in this. Obviously, he still hasn't forgiven himself about it. His own kids don't know, but I do. A friend of mine did some construction work with a guy I know. I guess the guy I know walked in on my friend with his wiener in a shop vac during their lunch break. This happened years ago, and we swap embarrassing stories all the time. This one hasn't come up yet. When 2 of my guy friends were super duper broke, they went on the internet to offer sexual services for money. It started as a joke, just to see how much they could get, but they ended up doing it. The guy didn't really touch them much. He mostly just watched them do things. I think they blew him too, though. They met with that one guy several times but then stopped abruptly. One of my friends told me about it in confidence and made me swear to never tell the other friend I knew. It happened about 10 years ago, and I've known for about 7 years. Then, just a couple years ago, the man who paid them for services offered to fly them out to another state for a vacation. The friend who doesn't know I know about it went alone. No one knows for sure what happened out there other than that he bought a new car soon after his return. Edit. Both these friends are gay. Me too. They're just not prostitutes. They were in college when it all started, but now they have good jobs that pay them well to keep their clothes on. In high school a kid got beat and robbed one night outside the fast food place he worked. No one was ever caught and he couldn't remember what happened. He's still in a wheelchair 20 years later. I found out recently who did it in the most random way possible. One of them is married to his sister. I read someone's diary and found out a childhood friend of everyone's molested his siblings as a child. I have an extended family member who ducked a goat. Another family member told me about it. He witnessed it and is a reliable source. I don't think Goat Ducker knows I know. An acquaintance of mine was really into getting double penetrated. She had a very simple dildo up her ass while her boyfriend was ducking her and it went all the way in and got stuck. She had to lie down and try and did it out. I know this because her 2 closest friends couldn't keep their mouths shut about anything. Now every time I look at her I feel so awkward. She's this really sweet, gentle girl. One of my best friends and I got really drunk one night and they drunkenly told me that they were molested by their uncle when they were younger. Well, much worse than molested. They were forced to use their mouth on their uncle and a few of the uncle's friends. My friend was blackout drunk, but I wasn't drunk enough to not remember that. It explains a lot about them, but I'm 100% sure that if they knew they had told me, they would hate me and themselves for telling me. I still don't know what to do with this information, besides continue to be their friend. We're still good friends, but they have no idea I know. Edited, gender for further anonymity. I know a guy who ducked his cousin. They were 12 and had to share a bed at a family gathering. She kept flashing him her boobs for some reason, and then he just began to duck her. He was a really normal, cool guy to talk to, but yeah, he ducked his cousin. I met a guy once who had a list of the women he slept with, what positions they did, ratings from 0-10 and what they pussies tasted like. I looked and saw that a girl in one of my classes tastes like ketchup, apparently. I know that a good friend of mine's GF is planning to break up with him. He has no idea. She told me yesterday, and I have known her for a week. I don't know why she told me. or why she would share this with a friend of her BF. Color me confused. I found out that my fiancé of 2 years has sex with other men for money to support our son. I found out when picking up his phone while he was outside smoking a cigarette. I saw a co-worker posting in the M4M section of Craigslist while at work. He was straight, so it was obviously something he didn't want anyone to know about. I never told anyone. This isn't ducked up. It's just a pretty big secret about my cousin. All names are changed. One day my friend Corey, who happens to be gay, asked me about my cousin Michael and how I knew him. Corey noticed that we were all mutual friends on Facebook, which probably seemed unlikely to him because Michael lives on the other side of the state as Corey and I. I told Corey that he was actually my cousin, and Corey proceeded to tell me that they had been duck buddies for a while. They had apparently met online, started texting, and then meeting up occasionally and having sex. Keep in mind that Michael comes off as very straight to everyone that knows him. He's a hunter and he played football in high school. It was quite surprising to me. I didn't really believe Corey until he showed me the naked pics that Michael sent him, which were unmistakable. It makes me kind of sad that I'm the only person in my entire family that knows Michael is gay. He must be very deep in the closet, but I really hope that one day he can truly show who he is to the world. TLDR. Gay friend told me he had been butt ducking my supposedly straight cousin and no one else in the world knows. Edit. Yes. I have no idea where Michael sees himself on the spectrum. So you're right. He could be or just curious or anything else. Who knows? A very sweet girl started working where I work a few years ago. I really took to her. She reminded me of my daughter and was maybe a year older. I found out she'd gone to the same high school as my daughter and asked each if they'd known each other. The girl at work said no. Sorry, I don't. My daughter said, Mom, that's the girl who killed my friend with her car back in high school. The girl was so sweet, and it was obvious to me she had a hard time living with what she'd done. I still haven't said anything. Who she is now is not the same reckless person she was 9 years ago, and I don't see the value in bringing it up. I was doing some babysitting for a family friend. They encouraged me to use the internet on their family PC. Being naturally curious, I clicked around on the desktop, found a folder called Matt Ducking Matt. Matt was the father's name. I don't know why I was surprised to find about 20 videos of Matt ducking himself with a giant yellow dildo. The mesh shirt, denim cutoffs and cowboy hat really made it special. I have befriended a girl at a local home improvement store, and out of curiosity I googled her only to find she has some amateur porn under her actual name. I know that a very old friend of mine likes dressing in woman's lingerie and using a big dildo on himself. He doesn't know. I don't really care. Human sexuality is a deep and broad river with many little whirlpools and currents. My dad cheated on every woman he had ever been in a relationship with. He ruined 3 marriages, 2 engagements and over 10 relationships during my 19 years of life. He keeps his current girlfriend in his bedroom for roughly 20 hours a day, although I don't know if she chooses to stay in there or he forces her to. Either way, it's unsettling. The only reason I know about this is one of his ex-fiancé registered sign-ins showed me old emails and letters he sent, as well as names and addresses of hundreds of women. My high school friend, who was obviously gay, but would always deny it, has a profile on OkCupid in the M4M section. I didn't tell anyone, because what the duck was I doing in the M4M section anyway? I know that my cousin walked in on my auntie banging her, my cousin's boyfriend. This seemed to be the event that tipped my cousin over the edge, leading to a long battle with heroin. She's okay now, but she's been to hell and back. I bet my auntie thinks that no one knows. Wrong. This entire thread has made me feel exponentially better about my life. So, thanks for that. My husband's boss, his wife and I all went to the same college. One of my best friends was the wife's roommate and sorority sister. I know for a fact the wife actively participated in won biggest slut competitions the entire time they dated. He has no idea. The first time I met her since college, she turned 7 colors of pale and took off. Work functions are awkward. Not ducked up in a bad way, ducked up in a funny way. I was on the website Omegle. I was wearing a sparkly Mardi Gras mask to hide my identity, and basically I was getting drunk and saying ridiculous things to people like "what's up sluts" and "put a shoe on your head." I'm clicking through people and what are the odds? I see a guy jerking off, so I said "put away the meat pole." He froze when he heard me speak. Then I recognized his background, the necklace around his neck. And holy it, it's my best friend. My best friend since we were 12 years old. His face was concealed and so was mine, but he recognized me for sure. I don't know whether or not he knows that I knew it was him. We've never talked about it. I did learn that he has a very large D. Edit. A few people have been outraged that this is the first time I've seen his D. It's not. I just haven't seen it since we were 14. Dart it grew. My best friend has no clue that I know his brother is a murderer. He killed a man on his fishing boat and beheaded him and sliced his body into pieces and proceeded to dump whatever was left of him into the ocean. I know the guy who was his first mate, only mate, as it was just the two of them, who told me after we got drunk and he started bawling saying that he feared for his life and would never rat him out. I could never tell my best friend this as he would never believe me and it would probably be the end of our friendship. I did also meet his brother once, but I barely said anything to him. I don't know the identity of the man he murdered as well. This whole thing could be bullet, but those were defiantly real tears and genuine anxiety I witnessed from his mate. TL. DR, my friend's brother killed a man. I'll tell this story, but it's kinda painful and makes me feel odd. My best friend of close to 20 years went through a bit of an experimental gay phase in high school. He didn't tell anybody this. I found out one night when I was using his computer and for some reason I right clicked and hit paste. He had apparently been getting on Yahoo and talking to guys because when I hit paste the phrase "young guy looking to chat with hot guys" came up. I guess he was saying that so much he had to copy it. Anyway, that kinda freaked 15-year-old me out. You have to remember this was really before gays were accepted like they are now. Fast forward a few weeks later, my friend is spending the night at my house. I have a pull-out bed under my bed, so he's sleeping on that. I wake up in the morning with my erect D out of my boxes and to my friend staring at me. In my sleepy state I just figured it had came out in my sleep and that I had morning wood. Few days later he spends the night again and I'm a little more alert this time about what's going on. I wake up in the morning laying on my stomach to him trying to squeeze his hand under my body to grab my junk. I ask him what he's doing, but he just gets back in bed. I lay there and pretend to be asleep and he gets back out of bed and tries it again. I pretend to wake up and get out of bed and leave the room. Told my mom after he left what happened. He never slept in my room again. My boss is a Yakuza. I've been working for him for 3 years and I slowly figured it out. He runs an English school in Tokyo and they're well known for having Yakuza involvement. Basically he pays everyone under the table so there's no paper trail, but our pay is ridiculously high for the price he charges. His pay is about twice the other schools, but the price for a lesson is about a third. He has all kinds of other little side businesses too, but all of them are unofficial and avoid paying taxes etc. Yet somehow, he has enough money to drive a Mercedes and take lots of vacations. I think he gets an income illegally from running a brothel of some sort because I've noticed he has a real eye for the ladies. So he gets an income from there and says it's from his English school. That's why he has no problem running the English school at a loss and doesn't even care if there are no customers and we just sit around. He also always wears long sleeve shirts. I've never seen his skin above his wrist, so I guess he's covered with tats. My dad's a D. Everyone but him knows it. My mother has a diary that I found while looking for something in her room. I didn't know what it was and it had the logo of the company she works for on it. Stupid me though. Whoa, that's a nice notebook. When did they get these? And opened it. The entire first page was her saying she hated my sisters and myself except one and that she was keeping the diary so when she died we would find it and know how miserable we made her. She also admitted to cheating on my father with her boss. Must be how she got the nice company notebook right. She doesn't know that I know it exists and I plan on destroying it upon her death. My sisters and father will not be subjected to that selfish garbage. I saw my friend having sex with his twin sister. Just kinda stumbled away and tried to make sense of what I saw. I even thought that I may have gone a little crazy there. However, my eyes saw what they did and it was undeniable. I had a soul searching few days after that in which I tried to make out what I just saw and where I should stand on this issue. They didn't realize and I acted as I always did around them. Got over it eventually. I'm the only gay guy in a group of guys that grew up together. Of the 6 of them, I've slept with 3. None of them know about each other. And 2 of them are cousins. For all the people who are commenting about having knowledge of molestation, please tell someone. A teacher, a parent, a cop. A lot of child molesters will eventually find someone else to molest and you could prevent that. My super mega Christian judgy aunt had an abortion and carries on like she and her family are God's most glorious wonderful family.